I want to thank, is Laz here tonight, Laz Fallon from the Farm Museum? Well, Laz is the man who's putting together the memorabilia of the Dublin Farm Museum and the wonderful contributions they've made to society. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to pay tribute to a true Irish hero. This man is the only man from the Dublin Fire Brigade to receive the National Bravery Award, Mr. David Hughes, wherever he is. Just a couple of more minutes, I promise. The next lady gave it all up. She had a wonderful job. When we were all keeping up with the Joneses, when times were good, everything was great in Ireland, this lady gave it all up. She went over to Africa to work, as you heard earlier on. I think Matt is here tonight, Matt Porter and Gráinne Bagnall from the Dublin Rotary Club. This lady gave it all up to found a charity to work with the Maasai. A wonderful, wonderful woman. And I'm only sorry that she's not here to join us for a cigarette tonight. Miss Elaine Bannon, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you may know that I still have a little 10-year-old godson, a wonderful kid by the name of Sean, who was, at the young age of 10, went up Kilimanjaro mountain. He inspired many people to follow him. One of the people he inspired is the next hero in our book, ladies and gentlemen. This woman there are no words to describe her. She's conquered cancer, she's conquered mountains, she's given a life. She runs the most fabulous Montessori school. And every time I meet her, whether she's undergoing chemotherapy, whatever she's going, she always has a smile on her face. She is an incredible woman, and a woman that I am very proud to say I know, Miss Claire Parr. Our next hero, ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned his mother, Tish Jurek, but I'm sure many people in this room have had a flutter on the GGs. This man came back against the odds. He was the British amateur jockey champion in 97-98 season. A true and brilliant, not just jockey, straight-A student in school. He was leading the field in his college studies, gave it up to become a jockey. You've got to read his story. It's not just inspiring, but the number of injuries this man overcame and kept going. There's a picture here somewhere of him winning a Grade 1 race and beating the fame of some of the best horses in Britain to take his place among the greats. We wish him well. He will win one of the big ones, including the Grand National, in it's only a matter of time. I'm referring to Mr. Seamus Jurek. Our next hero, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to mention here. This lady wrote this story about her husband. We invited the Irish public to nominate a hero, and it's beautifully crafted and beautifully written by a wonderful author. Herself, a very talented writer. Her book is due out soon. Her book tells the story of a man who saved his family, who put his family first in terrible conditions where a fire was concerned, and gave his life for his family, and still is with his family. The gentleman, his name is Alex Maguire. The lady who wrote the story is Alison. Alison and Alex, thank you both so much for this brilliant story. The lady you saw running the marathon is incredible. Like myself, I was privileged to receive the Gaisce Gold Award. This woman, I sat in Orson, or not in Orson Root, we sat in Dublin Castle, myself and John T. Murphy, and we heard one of the most rousing speeches I've ever heard from a young lady in her early 20s. A true inspiration who went through many things in her younger years, but always did it with a smile on her face. And now she's represented Ireland in the field of walking. She's a brilliant, brilliant person. And her story is told, and how she earned her Gaisce Gold Award. Miss Emma Farrell. This gentleman, any of us in this room who have New Year's wishes to get fit, just consider this man. He smoked for much of his life. His grandson, you may know, I think he's here tonight for being the Brefmeister on The Apprentice. Breffney Morgan, are you here, sir? I think he is. This man's grandfather, as Eamon alluded to earlier on, took up the sport of rowing at 73. 73, ladies and gentlemen, he took up the sport of rowing. 73, he took up the sport of rowing. 3 years later, he won the World Indoor Rowing Championships. An absolute legend, and an inspiration to any of us that age is never, ever the determinant in the things we want to achieve in life. Please put it together for Mr. Richard Morgan. And by the way, when I met him recently and we were having lunch for the book, I said, Richard, will you have a bit of lunch? He said, no. I said, why? He said, I'm watching the figure. And I said, what do you mean you're watching the figure? He said, well, I said, Richard, you're in great shape. I don't see there's no pick on you. He says, no, I'm just getting ready for the over 80s. So, Richard, You're a true legend and a real inspiration, I have to say. Our next, we have two heroes remaining that I wanted to refer to. We mentioned his son's band and the wonderful job they're doing tonight. This man, trust me, there wouldn't have been any medals in the Olympics without this man. Trust me, this man is living proof that, you know, what the mind doth believe, the body doth conceive, and all that goes with it. This man is a true inspiration, not just to those in sport, but to those in life. His work ethic and that attitude of, I suppose, the Japanese Kaizen, that little improvements, that we can all improve every day. He's a humble gentleman, and I know he will always give praise to those in his team. Mr. Gary Keegan from the Institute of Sport. The last chapter is called Running on Empty, and I think everyone in this room knows how that feels. And this man is represented tonight by his mom and his family. He's an absolute legend. Why? Because he never ever quits. He's got so much talent. He has run a sub 400 mile. He is the only person other than Eamon that's won the national 800 and 1500 metre title, as Eamon alluded to, in the 1980s. But he's a hell of a nice person, a great guy, and he's great to be around for his family, his friends, and everybody around him. And this man will run in the Olympic Games. Of that I have no doubt, and it will be the next Olympics. Mr. Dave Campbell. My last words are these. Please, ladies and gentlemen, record our thanks to Mr. John T. Murphy from Gashka, the President's Awards, for being a superb compere tonight. Thank you, John. We've been friends many years, and John was a mentor to me in my earlier life. And if it wasn't for Gashka, the President's Award, trust me, I wouldn't be standing here tonight, and that's a fact. On a personal note, there are two very special ladies in this room that I would like to thank. Very, very dear to me personally, and I couldn't have done anything. Actually, there's three. If I may just refer, okay? This room, the look, the feel, this woman does it with style, with panache, and she does it, and she's always done it as a favour. Theme One Productions, Miss Sarah Stevens. Give it up for Sarah Stevens. And her team of ladies who are here tonight. Thank you. The two best things that happened to me this year was, well, three. One was meeting a certain lady who, just through her zest for life and her knowledge about life in the world of life coaching, kind of brought me back into the positive domain. We're going to write together next year. It's a privilege to call her a friend, Miss Maura Dolan. Thank you, Maura Dolan. And the last person, and then I go to Doon My Veil, is the woman, the 16th hero, the unsung hero in this book. The woman who, in the short space of time that has been my very, very privilege to know her, hasn't just made a difference in my life, but has always seen the glass as half full. You know what they say, gentlemen, about the man and the better woman behind that man. Please put it up for an amazing woman, Tracy Swanton.
Thank you very much, Ian. I think I'll auction your notes. They'd be worth a fortune, wouldn't they? So it only remains for me to reinforce Ian's thanks to all of you for being here this evening. There's no rush in you going, but to thank you for being here, to thank Managing Director of Accelerate Marketing, Joe Gavin, for his support with the printing. Now all you have to do is one thing before you go. You know what that is? The price of the book, by no coincidence, is $14.99. There are 15 stories, and you look into your heart of hearts and say, is each story worth €1? So please, don't just get one for yourself. Christmas is around the corner. We have boxes of them there. Go and give them to friends. I used to love going to the pantomime when I was a kid. I still love going. I have to look for kids to bring nowadays, although people look at you strangely. And Maureen Potter used to say, if you enjoyed the show, tell your friends. If you didn't, save your breath to cool your porridge. So if you like this book, tell all of your friends about it. If you don't like it, you're wrong. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Congratulations to Ian and all the team. and I hope you sell many too.